I would like to begin with a toast to all women in magic and all magicians. Together, we bring the delight, the surprise, the mystery, and the magic. Together, we could probably do anything. We could probably even turn water into wine. Give yourselves a round of applause. I find it fascinating that in today's society, the word used to describe the highest level of something is magic. You know, magic blenders, a magic upholstery cleaning set, Magic Johnson. To be in a position to create magic is a very special thing. To be able to take an object and act upon that object in such a way as to transform it is truly a thing of wonder. Thank you. In my humble opinion, every dynamic in society is based on an issue of power, whether people are trying to get power or trying to deny their own, which is quite often the case. And in my case, that was the situation. I have been a full-time professional magician. Maybe turn off the other mics, because that's not my... I've been a full-time professional magician for 17 years. And for 10 years of that time as a fully self-employed magician, I doubted my power. I felt like I was a fake, you know, an imposter. And it took time. And how many of us, you know, how many of us as magicians take the time to stand fully in our power, light our fire in the sky, be prolific, and how often are we kind of trying to get that thing done and perhaps afraid of the, you know, retribution or feedback from showing our power. So let's build our power up. I would like everybody to hold your power, and they say that in the brain, when you do a physical act, it channels the focus. So I like everybody to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your fingers. We're going to build the power, and hopefully with the group magnetism, we will shatter this bowl. So we're going to count from 5 to 1. Are you ready? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, I feel the power. Give yourselves a round of applause. So now I'd like to tell my story. And instead of telling my story as a woman in magic, I'd like to tell my story as a magician. But before I do, I'm sure that some people may be asking the question in their mind, have you, I'm going to get this out of the way, have you been in a position of sexism? And the answer to that question is remarkably little and absolutely yes. And in fact, I'll tell you a story of something that happened right here at the edge of this stage in 2001. I was competing in the Oakland Magic Circle competition, that was 17 years ago, and the sound person said they wanted to get a cue. And I had to do this dance movement. I was doing African dance in front of them. I had to do this dance movement to answer the question correctly. And just as I was doing it, a magician in full voice said, "Oh, let's all now throw quarters." And I stopped, and I walked right up to that magician, and I said, and I was huffing because I'd been dancing. I said, "What did you say?" And he kind of melted back, right? But he got his sniper shot in, attempt to humiliate me. And that's why I encourage all women in magic, or men too who get heckled, handle it in the moment if you can, right? So but on the whole, my experience in magic has been exhilarating. And this community has done so much. Now, I'll also say that men are in a precarious position. You know how there's the guy who's afraid to open the door for the gal because he'll be called a chauvinist, right? Magicians have that too. I was talking to a great magician, and we were talking magic, just having a great time, saying, "Oh, you do that trick, you do that, do that trick." We were talking about money. And he said, "You know, Heather, I don't want to seem like a chauvinist, but if you go to a party, and there's a lot of drunk people, and you turn ones into hundreds, as you leave, someone might be interested in those $500 bills." And I took his advice. So instead of turning ones to 20s, or ones to 100s, boom, I turned them into 20s. And that was my advice taken from him. And I'm actually making a new one where I'm using 2s because I'm sick of losing this prop, right? I'm doing it. So So that's another side of it. But truly, I've been so deeply moved by this magic community. I'm going to try not to get emotional. I've had experiences where I've had my props stolen, and the magic community rushed in. There are people in this room, David Fry, who have helped me out, Kim Silverman, Dan Snyder. There are others, Phil Ackerley, David Harada, who just rushed in, and I love you gentlemen. It's just, I couldn't believe it. So that's the magic community. That's how I've really been treated. So let me tell my story. My mother gave birth to 6 children. I'm the youngest. And both of my parents were the mavericks of their family. They both grew up very poor, so no sort of sense of like how to get ahead, but interesting people. My mom was a self-taught artist. She just had a stay-at-home life and did art. And my father was a carpenter. And he would hop a train at 6 years old to go to a swimming hole. So he came out to California with 10 cents in his pocket, and that was our life. I had moved 16 times by the time I was an adult. And instead of making me flexible, it did the opposite. It made me feel like I had no foundation. It made me feel as though I wasn't safe in the world because I never had that. And so my amygdala, limbic brain, Paleolithic brain was anchored toward the side of fear versus faith. And I want to talk about that today. I believe that every decision comes from 2 places, either fear or faith. And you can substitute the word for faith. You can substitute knowing, trust, love, experience. I'm just going to say faith because it's an F and I have fear and faith in there. But my patterning was like, fear. And they say that there are only 2 reasons we're afraid. We're afraid because we're not going to get what we want, or we're going to lose what we have. And I was trying to keep hold of what stability I had. And there was also the idea of keeping everybody in the house calm because they were all of it met. So in any case, that's how it was. So I had a dream though. My dream was to perform. As a little kid, I put on shows. I'd tape a plastic bag in my pocket and pour water into my pocket. All right, I'd have coveralls and I'd have a big radio and I'd plug the radio into the wall and I'd say, my stomach's growling. I'm doing shows. I was headlining my own living room circuit. But the truth is that when you're in a family and there's only a carpenter supporting so many people, finances are an issue, and it's hard to separate your own wealth and value when wealth is sparse. I knew a magician would be like, I do a bargain lot. I love you guys. Thank you, Dan. In any case, so my dream wasn't supported, not that anybody didn't love me, but they just had no bandwidth to support that dream. So college was never discussed. I sort of fell into Laney Junior College after high school, and I discovered theater. I had my own mini renaissance. I took acting and theater, I took improv, I took dance, I took music. I even founded the drama club, and I wrote and produced my own show with them, and my heart started to soar. I started to feel like who I should be, and it was magical, but I was still living at home. Oh, thank you. I was still living at home with my parents. I'm now pushing 21 years old, and I had no concept of how I get out of here. No one spoke to me about it. It wasn't even like getting a job. It was just like, it was, and so I studied at Laney. I did what anybody should do. Is at that point I ran away with the circus, right? Pickle Family Circus is looking for their first ever tech apprentice. Oh, the pickles! Yay! Everybody know the pickles! Yes! And I did not have the foresight to realize a 9-month apprenticeship with the circus would lead to a career in technical theater. Never saw it coming. Didn't see it. And I had a great time in the circus. I upholstered actor equipment. I drove the bleacher truck. I set up the tight wire, and I had a tight wire in my own backyard for 10 years. I made a trapeze. I liked it, but I lost myself. And then I ended up in a career of technical theater. And every day, so many things. Well, I just started to believe the bad news about myself. And every day there was something that was tearing away at my dream. This card represents my dream, by the way. And it's a special kind of pain when you want to be a performer and you find yourself backstage holding the mag light for the performers coming on and off, wearing your blacks, right, with my headset on, year after year, holding the light for the performers coming on and off stage, and just, and I was mean, you know, my amygdala was on it, so I wasn't even nice to myself about it. And it really did, you know, create its own tear in my life. And, you know, I was in the circus, and the publicists used to call me Little Cinderella. And I would actually have to go and sniff the armpits of all the circus costumes to see if I should spray them with vodka to lower the smell, you know, right? You know, there was a tear. And then came the day when I was in the head of a dragon. And I was followed by a bunch of hoop divers. And I went over the edge of the stage into the orchestra pit, and there was a tear in my meniscus. And I had to have knee surgery, but I didn't leave. I couldn't imagine anything else. My fear was like, what would happen if I left this? So I stayed at Technical Theater. It wasn't until the day that I was pulling out a stage plug at the Cal Theater, and I heard my back snap. And that took me out of Technical Theater. That's what it took to make the change. But you know what? That was the beginning of a whole new life of healing and possibility. That was that transition. I got out of my parents' house. I got out of Technical Theater, and I spent 2 years on my back trying to heal. Thank God for rent control in San Francisco. Oh my God. I had like a two-story Victorian I share with you. I paid $500 a month. Remember those days? But then I had to get a job, so I ended up driving a school bus in San Francisco. For 15 years, I drove a school bus, 7 years, I drove a school bus, and we had fun. I don't know if you've ever driven one, but you know, if one child gets sick, the children smell it and get sick, and the middle runner becomes an ocean of Head Start food, right? I'm telling you. And I found myself one day saying, Base, I have a child on my bus who just handcuffed a girl's arm to her leg and swallowed the key. Please advise. I have so many school bus driving stories. But at this time, so when I was at Technical Theater, I gained 25 pounds. Driving the school bus, I gained 25 more. So now I'm 50 pounds heavier, and I'm a sugar addict. I am choking down a candy bar every 45 minutes, and I can't even control my hands at this point. I mean, the sugar had me, the bugs. And I was miserable. And I couldn't leave. Medical, dental, 401k. You know, 5 years in, I discovered the magic shop, and I had done some magic shows. I had started to clown because I learned European classic style clowning in the circus, and so, but I couldn't leave. But then came the day when I'm driving, and I just can't get enough air in my lungs. I'm holding the steering wheel, and I just can't breathe. And for 2 weeks, I'm like, why can't I breathe? I was having a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. I wouldn't leave. It took me not being able to breathe for me to walk in the general manager's office with a friend holding my hand. I sat down, and the general manager had to say, so you resign? I'm like, I resign. You know, that was my entree into professional magic full time. And I hate to tell you that it was more terrifying than I ever could have imagined, because I had no financial literacy, and I didn't have the permission to get it. So I spent many years just frying, you know, and it's been a journey. But you know, I followed my dream. I kept at it. And now, 17 years later, I'm a full-time magician. I'm a speaker. I tell people maximize their minds for peak performance. I work with destination management companies as an ideation consultant and experienced designer. I help magicians and women and men in business position themselves strategically in the market, and I also help magicians with presentations and that as a coach. And I'm intuitive too, which I didn't plan to tell you, but I do actually readings through people, which is crazy. That developed through studying women in business. So it happened. That dream, I had to bend with my dream, like we all do. And you know, sometimes that dream may feel like it's gonna tear you in half. Sometimes that dream may feel you rent asunder in shards. But the truth is, that's what's supposed to happen. That's the process. And you come out of that, boom, whole and more complete. So now I'm share with you something that has been a symbol of my dream. And almost every day for the last 25 years I've practiced this because it's very hard, and I'd like to share this with you now. Go ahead with the music. And you know what I'm going to do? There's an advanced thing that I can't do with my mic on, so I'm going to take my mic pack off. Well, you can go ahead and start the music. together, we remind ourselves that life is always a surprise. That life is something to